Hey everybody, Russ Gray with Keller Williams Advantage in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just giving you a general rundown of what we're seeing with the market right now, kind of a monthly market report. This is the report that came out in May from the Greater Tulsa Association of Realtors. That's who manages our MLS and lets us know kind of what's going on and helps us kind of get a picture as to what we can expect to see as the months come around. So just some quick general stuff that I want to go over real fast. I'm going to break down a lot of numbers here, so just roll with me. Might get a little confusing for a second. Closed listings, we're up 21.03%. In 2020, we had 1488 close, 1801 close in 2021. Pending listings, we're up 7.74%, 1834 in 2020, 1976 in 2021. New listings 2203 in 2020. In May 2294. Our average list price is up 21.66%, and this is for the general area. This is everywhere that the Greater Tulsa Association of Realtors covers. In 2020, the average list price was $94,649. The average list price in 2021 was $236,816. Again, that's a 21.66% increase. The average sale price went from $191,433 in 2020 to $234,920 in 2021. 22.72% increase there. Average percent of selling price to list price went from 98.29% to 99.09%, 0.81% increase there. Average days on market went from 32.26 days down to 24 days on the market. That's a decrease of just a little over 25%. So a house is selling in much less time, about a quarter less of the time now. Month supply of inventory. This is where it gets really interesting. In 2020, at the end of May, we had just under 7,000 homes available, 6,998. At the end of May, 3,175. That's a 54.63% decrease in our end of month inventory. This has also had a very adverse effect in regards to our month supply of inventory, taking us from 4.85% down to 1.87. So, what does this mean as a buyer? What does this mean as a seller? What does this mean if you're thinking about moving to Tulsa and wanting to, or looking to invest in properties in Tulsa? So, the first thing to really take into consideration here and to really think about is this. The numbers for 2021 compared to 2020, obviously May of 2020 is when we were starting to see a little bit of the shift, a little bit of the change. Things were starting, the lockdowns were happening. Had a lot of houses that were starting to come off of the market. People were either selling them, canceling contract, just keeping their house on the market out of fear of what the virus was going to do. Just a lot of different things kind of were working into that puzzle. What I find very interesting is the increases in some of the numbers compared to 2020. The closed listings went up 21%. The pending listings went up 7.74%, and the new listings went up 4.13%. That tells me that sellers are getting a little more confident, that they know that they can get their house on the market and they're ready to go ahead and sell. Average time on market gone from 32 to 24 days. That's the average time. That's spanning everything from the cheapest homes on the market all the way to the most expensive. The sweet spot for Tulsa is right around the $250,000 to $300,000 mark and under. Tends to sell extremely quickly. So those numbers are helping bring that down lower. If there was a lot of houses in that range that were staying on the market longer, it would be a different story. That number would be increased a little bit more. The end of month supply of inventory, that's where I think there's a little bit of concern there. Not really for the real estate market in general. However, it is where I think a lot of people are hesitant about listing their homes right now. When we look at May's numbers from 2019, we can see that we are closing more homes than we did in 2019. More homes are pending than they were in 2019. That was before the pandemic, but our new listings were also higher at that time as well too. Average price point in 2019 was about $185,000. Average time on the market at that time was also about 38 days, and at that time we had 5,800 homes on market and a month supply of inventory of 4.15 months. So we were in a balanced market in 2019, 2020 swung around. 2020 we were still in a balanced market by the way that looked. However, as the year went on, less and less people were listing their homes. There were still plenty of buyers out there looking to buy, so homes were going really fast. This is what has created the shift where we see the average time on market has decreased. When we compare that to April statistics, April is usually about the start of when buying and selling season really kind of kicks into gear. Based on the numbers, there's not a whole lot of differences from what I can see in here. For May, we had more homes closed than we did in April. In April, we had more homes go pending than we did in May. New listings, the difference in between the two is about 20 homes. So that's about the same, April to May. Average price points was slightly higher in April. Average sales price is also a little bit higher. Average percentage of selling price to list price was also a little bit higher at 9.24%. Average days on market was 24.64 in April versus May at 24 even. And then our month's supply of inventory was a little bit lower in April as well at 28.75. We're up to 31.75. That's an additional 300 homes. And then month's supply of inventory went from 1.72 in April to 1.87 in May. Those are kind of indicators that there's a little bit of a shift going on. I think a lot of lenders are starting to kind of get creative in their process of how they're doing things to help sellers with selling their homes, buying a home, and finding something they can land in. It's kind of an indication that we might be starting to move back towards more of that balanced market. It is taking a little bit of time to get there. There's a little bit of market correction that's going on. However, based on the numbers that I'm seeing, our closed and pending homes are still doing pretty well. It's still pretty healthy. New listings, we're about where we were a year ago. 2020, we were at 2203. Compared to April of 2020, we're at 2052. April 2021, that number kind of peaked back up a little bit, which was good. Still lower than what we were in 2019, even 2018 as well. 2018 was even higher than 2019. So what does this mean for you as a seller? Right now, that means you need to think about like what your plan is when you're getting ready to sell your house. There's a lot of hesitation, I think, for a lot of sellers right now, just because they know if they sell their house and they need to go buy a house, they're afraid of experiencing what a lot of buyers right now are experiencing while they're out there in the marketplace. And that is, there's not a lot of houses out there that are available to them, or they can't find something they like. The houses that they do like and that are available within the price range or certain layouts or anything like that are usually selling really quickly, and they're selling with multiple offers involved. So just kind of knowing that, that is something that is going on in the background is something to consider. I don't think as much anymore now, like in 2020 where the numbers were down lower. I don't think there's as much concern as there had been in the past in regards to, is it about the virus? Is it about coronavirus? Are people afraid to list their house because they don't want to get sick? I think what it is now is I think it's just a general fear of, if I sell my house, where am I going? And that seems to be a very common question I have for folks who either don't already have something lined up for where they're going to once their house sells, or just in general don't know what the next steps are in the process if they do sell their house. General concern right now for most folks, if you're under that $300,000 sweet spot in Tulsa, is, can I find my next home? Is my next home out there and available? Is it something I can move into? Or am I going to have to fight and make 5, 6, or 7 offers on different homes before I finally land one? So one of those things to kind of think about that is as a seller, it's a great time to be selling. Right now, your home is worth more than it was a year ago. Based on the numbers and statistics, there's an average increase throughout all of Tulsa of about 21.66% in the general list price, 22.72% in regards to the sale price of the house. So that's something to consider. Right now is a great time to be selling, just because your house is going to sell, it's going to sell quick, and it's going to sell for more than it would have a year ago. But then you have to be ready to kind of make moves real fast to find your next home. Contingency offers right now for a seller who's trying to buy a house aren't really getting looked at, even though it's a great market. A lot of sellers right now don't want to take the risk of, I need somebody else to sell their house before I can sell mine so I can go buy my next one. Because all it takes is just one collapse on one end and it's a whole nother nightmare down the chain. So, buyers. What does this represent for buyers in regards to the statistics? Buyers, one of the things you need to be prepared for is understanding that you're probably going to end up in a multiple offer situation. There's a really strong chance that you're going to be seeing that a lot. So definitely something worth thinking about as you're going through is, how should we be structuring offers? How should we be approaching those offers? Obviously, every offer counts at the end of the day. Sometimes you need to put in your best and your strongest up front. You can definitely do escalation clauses. That is definitely something that can be considered in the process of trying to buy a home. A lot of folks right now, because they're selling their houses for more than what they would have been able to sell their houses for a year ago, are gaining more equity. So your competition right now is a lot of folks who have a little extra cash as well. Having that extra cash is attractive, because if they're having to bid over and there's a appraisal situation, such as the house doesn't appraise for what the offer was, these folks who have the cash are offering for what they're calling a appraisal gap coverage in the contract, which basically states, if your house doesn't appraise for the amount that we agreed to, then I'll cover the difference as the buyer in the price with cash. It's a crazy time right now. Obviously, if you're a buyer, I know you're going through a lot of stress, some highs, some lows, maybe a few emotions. Bear with your agent at this time. We're all trying the best we can. Tough part is, if we're being beat out by cash offers or people who are willing to offer an appraisal gap coverage, it's stressful, and we're feeling the pain with you guys. So bear with us. We're doing the best we can. We're giving everything we can to get it moved the right direction. We understand, sometimes you don't have the ability to do that, and obviously we're trying to make sure we convey the right information to the seller and seller's agent to try to give you that leverage. So, as a buyer, don't give up. Keep trying. Things are going to be fine. Obviously, the market's telling me right now, looking at the numbers, it's staying pretty consistent. More homes are coming on the market every day. When over the course of month to month, we're pulling in an additional 2,300 houses. That tells me there's a new house popping up practically, every couple of minutes in the marketplace, which is great. So don't get disheartened. It's obviously just kind of a crazy time. The market's kind of wild. Realtors are navigating it the best they can, trying to give the best advice to their clients they possibly can, whether you're buying or selling. It's also good to make sure that whichever agent you're working with has access to programs that can give you the leverage to move forward, including things like financing programs. Just went through training the other day with a local lender. They're offering some programs that are extremely good. Basically a cash-backed guarantee offer that basically states that if you're trying to sell your house or are selling your house and buying a house, and you are want to give yourself that additional leverage to figure out what you need to do, the lender, if you can't close on the house because you're waiting for your other one to sell, will pay cash for the house and then rent you the house you're going to move into and purchase for up to 6 months. And And then within that 6 month frame, if your other house sells and you can move forward, then they just finish out the loan and move you forward. It's great for if you're a conventional buyer, have a little bit of extra money. There are some stipulations, some guidelines to it. So obviously, if you have questions about it, get in touch with me. I'll get you in touch with a lender who can kind of explain it a little bit better. They've got fancy little videos and all that stuff that they're going to be including to explain how that system works. But it's to give conventional buyers who are selling a house or trying to buy a house a little bit of an advantage with having basically a cash-backed offer, stating that the house will close one way or the other. So it's a pretty good deal overall. So that being said, obviously I'm here in Tulsa. The market's different everywhere. I know Dallas can be a little bit funky right now. Last report I heard from Dallas, they were under a month of inventory. I don't know if that's increased or if it's stayed about the same. But I'm always here to help, always here to answer questions. Obviously, if there's anything I can do for you, give me a call. Let me know what I can do for you. And as always, I'm here if you need anything anywhere else in the world too. I can help you out anywhere in the U.S. I've got a great connection with a lot of different agents all over the U.S. and all over the world. So if there's anything to do for you, feel free to give me a shout. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.